So none of us really have this same problem.
This is Auto Collabs.
That Steve Roessler, our guest today, has. And that problem is that we don't really ever have to worry about, everyone show him your hair. Everyone, nope, none of that stuff going on. Steve Roessler, better known as the hair of the industry, he's just got this like gorgeous mane. It's all swept back, all that.
I don't know. He and Frank Lopes have a bit of a rivalry going, and we did put this out to the public a couple years ago. We put a side by side, and we're like, who wears it better?
Yeah,
and they're different. Steve Roessler has the height and kind of the intensity, and Lopes is like always like dialed in,
full on,
very sophisticated.
Yes,
yeah, we need like a fight card graphic with like close ups of their faces and like. You know, we need to run that poll again, I think.
Like Mortal Kombat style with the verses in between.
Absolutely. Actually, I think we should do that at NADA. We should have like a scale, and they should have to like weigh themselves somehow with and without the hair or something like that. Like,
can we get those buttons like when you rate the public bathroom? Like so people can just like push a button.
Oh, hit the buttons. That'd be the easy just net promoter. Would you recommend this hair? Yes or no? I think Steve Roessler and Frank Lopes, I think their hair weighs the same. Steve has like more hair. Lopes has more
gel,
products.
Right? More hair, more gel.
Yeah, exactly. You knew right where I was going with that. I mean, but Steve's personality, the energy matches the hair.
Yes.
Right?
Absolutely.
Because he is always, you watch him on social media, you watch him around people, and without a doubt, he is always engaged in the moment, which is one of the things I really like about being around him. Like, it's so genuine, and sometimes it's so outrageous, but it is so authentic every time and always.
I think about like how far this industry has moved in its also like style and its approach just in the last decade. I mean, 15 years ago, I'm not kidding you, like 3-piece suited up at everything I went to.
There's a picture of that on your website. You look good, by the way.
Oh, shucks.
They look
now I'm
like
blushing.
Nice suits.
But when I think about him, like he's brought this like sense of comedy and, quick-wittedness and kind of not dressed down, but like a little bit more casual, which like softens the vibe. And I think about him in that regard because like the industry as a whole, I mean, like, look at us. I don't know, guys. 15 years ago, if we showed up, black ball caps, black T-shirts, rolling into a conference wearing, our Nikes and whatever, people would be like, what is this? And it still is that way in a lot of parts of the world. But Steve kind of brings
it brings the energy around that,
for sure.
Yeah. Well, hey, we hope that you enjoy our conversation with Steve Roessler of DriveCentric. All right, I am hanging out with my man, Steve Roessler, the Live with Drive guy. That guy with the hair, Live with Drive, get Live with Drive. You before we get started, you got to tell me, like, when did that, because I know some people could think like, oh, well, everybody's been saying that for a long time. How did Live with Drive come up? Where was the first time that someone said that?
Dude, I'll tell you what, it was by accident, which I think the best ideas come up by accident. But so we were, I was just getting in automotive and, launching stores or signing up stores. And I'll never forget, it was my buddy, Jimmy down in Chattanooga, Tennessee. And I said,
Tennessee.
I know, isn't it great? Well, yeah, go figure. You're from Tennessee. So I would always be asking, because I'm a one syllable type of guy. I like everything one syllable. So I would literally just be calling him up. And I probably said this subconsciously without even thinking about it. And I said, so Jimmy, when are we going to go live with Drive? And he said, what'd you say?
You lowered your voice just like that.
I'm on the phone, right? I'm like, Jimmy, when are we going to go live with Drive? Whatever. And and he literally just said, dude, what'd you say? I said, when are you going to go live with Drive? Move forward, get the CRM, get DriveCentric. When are we going to go? That's all I was saying. And he said, dude, what you just said there was gold. I'm like, what I just said? He goes, live with Drive.
I didn't even catch it.
Yeah, I mean, I really didn't. And so some of the things that you just go out there and as you build a brand for yourself, or you have a name, you just come up with like these things. And we actually got that branded. We went out there and paid to have that.
You trademarked it?
Trademarked, yeah.
I love it.
I mean, it was about 2 years ago we got that trademarked, and I would have never dreamed. So I was like, oh my gosh, one of my ideas worked.
I came up with a trademark. That's Right. So you said earlier, you said when I got in automotive, because DriveCentric is your introduction to automotive, right? And so what does your history of being in the career job world consist of?
Oh gosh. Yeah. So I've been in, now 3 industries. So, I graduated. I'll try to keep it short, but I'm an engineer by degree. So I did engineering sales. I always knew I wanted to get sales, but I wanted to get something technical. So, and I love math. So I tutored math all my life, but engineering was the way to go. Did all my, calc 1, 2, 3, differential equations, matrix theory, all that stuff. And so once I graduated, I did that for 5 years. And then a buddy of mine, because I moved to Evansville, Indiana, to take a job to be in the pharmaceutical world which was Jones Pharmaceuticals here actually in St. Louis before it got sold. But I got into medical industry then, and I did various jobs, from pharmaceuticals to surgery to testing drugs to, just all sorts of crazy stuff in the medical world for 16 years. But a good 8 of those years were startups. So I got into the startup world. I got a taste of startups. I love the startup world. And then my neighbor, Dave, who worked for JM&A, said, "Hey man, I'm working on this CRM and I want you to take a look at it," because he knew I love CRM. And I've been on a lot of CRMs in various industries. And anyway, I looked at it and it had video. And I just said, "Dude, I could sell this in the medical industry." He goes, "Well, how about you do it in automotive?"
Let's start with automotive. Then
and I'm just like, dude, are you kidding me? I can walk in any hospital across the country, dude. You want me to change professions? And, he asked me to be part owner with him. And it was my first opportunity to be an owner of a company. And so that's, and again, I learned so much. I mean, I learned.
So, so you came from, I want to get, before we get it back into auto, because especially in the medical profession, but in sales, you came from utilizing CRMs or being a part of CRMs. What were some of the ones that you got the opportunity to be a part of or learn in that healthcare career?
Oh gosh. Well, I'll date myself for all the older folks listening to this. So ACT was the very first software I used where literally you would download that to your computer. You almost needed just a computer to run ACT before it was cloud-based. Then I used a program called Goldmine. Goldmine was another one. In the medical industry, there was Leapfrog. And then when I got the taste of startup, I used Salesforce. And I always loved Salesforce because that was the only thing I knew. And then I used HubSpot. And then obviously I started using DriveCentric because we couldn't afford CRM as a startup. So I used our own CRM company to grow the business. And I mean, that's.
Wait. Okay. So wait, you all utilize your own CRM?
Well, we did back in the day. Keeping a cost down. Right now, it's because this CRM. That's one of the things I appreciate about CRMs is you can have an entity-based CRM and a company-based CRM. To where like the Salesforce, the HubSpots, the Leapfrogs, the ACT, I could put in like Nelson Automotive, and then I would have Kyle and all the people underneath one account, and I could email everybody. In DriveCentric, because it's entity, you got to send that email individually to people. So it's a little bit different, but I made it work, and I was able to send videos. We still do use it a tad bit for obviously all the video portion, but now we do put everything in a different CRM so we can track CRMs, DMSs, inventory, what's everybody using, so we can talk to the customer more about the tools that they're using.
All right, so you got to tell me, are you using Salesforce, using HubSpot?
Yeah, we're using Salesforce. We use Salesforce and HubSpot, but we're on Salesforce mostly.
Well, I will say I appreciate the fact that you at least started the grind utilizing your own CRM, because I think one of the hard things that I see a lot of in auto is like enterprise tech is great for everywhere outside of auto, but in auto we kind of have to use our own thing. So for you all to start off like using the product that you use to sell dealers, that they're going to use, it totally changes the game and like your aptitude to innovate quicker because what you need. Now, here's a question that I have, because there is this like identity versus entity, or entity versus company, however you want to talk about that.
Yeah.
Do you see an end road to automotive thinking more like a company that might use a Salesforce that's company based, and think about that as like the identity of like the household or the identity of the vehicle, and managing some of the tracking like that. Are you all looking at that at DriveCentric, thinking, hey, look, this is what we're experiencing over here in CRM, and we're serving this up in auto? How do we make those more closely aligned to take enterprise tech and bring it to auto?
Well, I mean, number one, it's a great question. And here, I'll answer it this way. The answer is we can do anything we want to do. Being a tech company, I mean, right now we can't even get people to put in notes about, Kyle, you have 2 kids. You know what I mean? So to sit there and say they're going to have like a tree of like a parent, kids, grandpa, whatever it may be, it's a great way of thinking about it. While we could build that, again, our whole thing is, let's help these customers, or let's have dealerships sell more cars. But it is a great idea. I mean, we have places where people put in notes, where we give them, LinkedIn profiles and things like that. And we're going out there teaching dealerships how to just do the little things, to get a better customer experience, so they know who they're dealing with. But it's a great opportunity to do something like that. Could be on our roadmap. We'll never say no to anything, but it's just, we have to prioritize what we're going to build.
Yeah. One of the things that I love about like enterprise tech CRMs is this ability to, like, you enter someone, and if their email is connected to an entity, boom, you just get right. And I think, like you were saying, you're providing at least social profiles, right? So that there's that social, we found this person, it's connected to a couple things. There's your research end, because that's what like SaaS companies do. They go research a someone or a company based on these integrated profiles, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
No. And there's all these, I think the perception of what CRM is I think we're redefining what it is. And, like, if people learned how to use a CRM for what it is today, what the customers are doing, I think they would better leverage some of the things like you're talking about, like understand relationships between customers and things of that nature. But we go out there and teach about social connecting. Obviously, if you can link in Facebook with somebody and understand a little bit more about the customer, do they have 3 kids? No wonder why they want 3rd row seating. So there's a lot that we can do. But a lot of times we're just teaching people, like, for example, how to send video.
Yeah. Well, okay. So here, let's just dispel something right now, because we get people that listen all across the industry to this, and outside of our industry. And I think the word CRM, whether someone knows what Salesforce is because they're just a customer and they've heard it, or they've seen it on the F1 track, or they're in the industry and they've heard CRM from their manager 800 times over the last 2 weeks, right? Yep. It always blew my mind how many people would be in the industry for 3, 4, 5 years, and CRM was still just an acronym. So what does CRM actually mean, Steve?
Oh my gosh. I did a whole video on this because I would go around at NADA as what does CRM stand for? And you heard everything. It was about 50% people got it right. It's actually a video on our YouTube page. It's classic. But
client recall management.
Oh my gosh, dude. You get it all. You get it all. But there's so many acronyms, right? It's so nuts. But yeah, customer relationship management tool.
There you go. So here's the thing. It's like we forget the second word there a lot. We're like, oh, the CRM, it's a task manager. I would disagree. It's a relationship manager. And I think that's what you're pressing back. And when you're talking about video and social profiles, that you're going, it's not a task manager. It's a relationship manager. And the approach to the industry from a consumer side totally changes if you look at it differently, right?
Well, totally. And yeah, relationship. But I think even that acronym is, I always say, has got to change. I mean, we go out there and we talk about more engagement focus than data management focus. While every CRM, including ours, obviously houses the data to put in the information about the relationship and all the things. But right now in the car industry, people are all about right now and not thinking about I build the relationship, which creates upstream marketing and easier conversation for when you're down the road, if I use it for that relationship part of it. And unfortunately, and again, I've been in obviously all these different industries. I've never had business rules in any other industry. So when you talk about task management, that's why people don't like it. I've got 100 things to do. What do I do first, boss? And I would rather have you reply to customers that are talking back to you today is the way we got to think about it. And so when we go out there and preach about how to leverage a CRM, and I don't care what CRM you're on, you need to evaluate how many customers are talking to your store today. Think of CRM as almost like a chat tool. You're chatting with text, you're chatting with video, you're chatting with live streaming, you're chatting with chat. You have to think of the first time your CRM is now an engagement platform managing all your conversations in one place. That's
and you just said something. You said that in other industries, business rules are not a thing. So explain first what business rules mean when it comes to like a CRM or a task management system. Explain that, and then explain like how other industries or how you've in the past or currently perceive conversation versus business rule.
Yeah, well, now again, keep this in mind is I've been in industries where the average buying cycle could have been 6 months or a year. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So selling a CRM, for example, it's buying a car 70% of the time in 4 days is a lot different than buying a car in 6 months, right?
Sure.
So, what I would be doing is the way I would always put in my notes, and I'm always leveraging my future task, and I schedule all my own tasks, and I put in there what I'm going to be doing for the future, so I don't have to think about it. So, Kyle, if you're going to say, "Hey, I'm installing a website this week, for the next 30 days at my 3 stores," I'd be going in there and I'd put in my notes and I'd say, I'm calling them up in 30 days. How's the website project going? Are you done? Yep. And I know I'm calling Kyle up and I'm saying, hey, Kyle, how'd you do on your website? It's nothing about DriveCentric, but I know what you're doing. And that's the relationship part that nobody's thinking about. If a customer goes on vacation for 2 weeks, hey, how's your vacation? People are going to engage you back by not talking business right away. And that's how you.
Well, and that's a lot different than like, here's my 5-day task, picked up the phone, didn't answer, left a message, next. Here's my other 7-day task, right? Hopefully there's another task in there for me because my internet manager set it up and I'll get back to that one, right? What you're saying is like, no, that's a human that you need to have a human connection with, and you leverage the technology to allow you to remember and cultivate that human relationship, right?
Yeah, that's what it should be. You go in other industries, and I mean, now don't get me wrong. Could you have like rules up or things like that? You can, but I never, in any of the industries I had, I never had a business rule. And I think if you go outside, just even ask any friend in any other industry, if you got an internet lead, do you have business rules? They'd be like, what the heck is a business rule? Well, do you tell somebody to follow up? They're going to laugh. They're going to laugh. They're going to be like, you mean you got to tell somebody to follow up with an inquiry, somebody that's interested in your product? Go ask. It's comical. It's comical. I mean, and like I said, that's the very first thing I had to learn in this industry. And I think as an outsider looking in, we've made our salespeople into robots because now they don't know how to think for themselves as far as where the customer is at in the journey of buying a car, because we dictated them and told them that you are going to be doing all these tasks versus teaching them about, hey, you can schedule your own future task. And it all revolves around training. So,
yep. Well, okay. So when you look at like where this industry is kind of headed in the way that we're like managing conversations, and you're saying like training needs to happen, what are you seeing kind of in the ways that the most progressive dealers right now are engaging and interacting with customers? Like what are people that are pushing the boundaries doing to engage customers in the showroom, outside the showroom, in follow up with leads? What are those dealerships doing? Because you get to be in and amongst a lot of these dealers, and you're always traveling and that type of stuff.
Yeah, no, I think the biggest thing is obviously everybody wants to get everybody in the physical showroom, right? We all know that. But I think the days of doing 100 phone calls and 50 emails a day are long gone. I mean, I say that probably on every podcast. So I hope somebody listens to this and it resonates. But, texting is the number one form of communication. And I think if you take a look at how customers are communicating, especially the millennials, the Gen Zs, the Gen As, they process communication differently. just the way it is. So I'm actually doing it's kind of funny, a class at Digital Dealer on, are you dating your internet leads? And what I'm showing is a parallel on doing on an app like Bumble. Not that I'm married, so I have to learn all this stuff on the dating apps, right? Okay, so if my wife's watching,
right.
I'm not on Bumble, honey. I did ask her if I could do a dating app just for like role playing type stuff.
Just
but
to
anyway,
see. Yeah.
But anyway, but they take the communication from the dating app and they transfer it to, what do you think, Kyle?
Facebook Messenger.
No,
No.
Snapchat.
No way. Yeah. Wow.
Think about
You know what's crazy? I had a conversation with, before Snap did a whole bunch of reorganization, is their actual monthly active user growth is faster than both like all other platforms right now. Yeah. Which is kind of mind-boggling to me. So you're saying that they take it off platform, but they don't go to texting or phone calls or Messenger. They go to Snapchat as their preferred communication platform.
Exactly, because there's no personal information given. It takes, I'm serious. I don't want to give away everything on this, but it's a really good analogy. The way, what I'm trying to do is show how customers are communicating from that generation. And it's almost like you have to earn the right to transfer it to that phone call. So texting is going to be the as David Kane will say, the on-ramp, but I always say to earn the right to get the customer on the phone. And we have to teach the younger generation, okay, what are the times where I have to ask for a phone call? Obviously video. People want to know, like, for example, I'll give you this little tidbit. Believe it or not, when you go on these dating apps, people will go on 4 Zoom dates before they go on an actual date.
Wow.
Because they want to know they're not being catfished. So catfishing in the auto industry is a lot like dating. So I want to know who the hell I'm talking with. Is the car available? We talk about transparencies, and that's where video and live streaming, all the technology that are in all these other worlds like dating, are applicable in the car industry. And it becomes very synergistic and normal to the customer when you offer that. But right now we're offering technology of communication. Like, do you email your friends and family? I bet not.
Never.
So what does that make the customer?
I don't know. My uncle sometimes emails me some weird article off of Facebook, but that's about it.
Yeah, and but we don't email our friends and family. I tell everybody, just pretend the customer is a friend. Communicate like they're your friends, and you'll be better. And if we just take that, I don't care what CRM you're on, but just take the practice of what you do in your everyday life and say, would I do that to a customer? I'm emailing a customer. That doesn't make a lot of sense, but I'll send a Snapchat video to my friends. So send a video to your customers, your prospects.
Are you seeing anyone take, because I think this would be really, like, what's your Snapchat? Like, why wouldn't we engage? Like, if you have someone that's like, what's your preferred mode of communication? Like, and then the answer is like, should I text you, Facebook message, Snapchat, or video chat you? Like, if those were the options, what if we did that as an industry? Well,
that's what you can do, right? I mean, there's nothing to say you couldn't do that today. It's going to be hard to get somebody's Snapchat. I mean, you got to search it and kind of find it. But but look, if I get a dealer, I'll just play it from what we do every day. If I have a dealer that's not responding to my email, why is he not responding to my email? Probably because he's got 500 of them in his inbox. Now, I'm not going to have his cell phone number. I'm probably going to have the dealership number, and I guarantee it's going to go to his voicemail, and he's going to delete all his voicemails.
Period. End of story.
I'm going to go on Facebook. I'm going to go on LinkedIn, and I'm going to friend him up, and I'm just going to, maybe have a little dialogue with him, or, just if I'm going to be in the area.
Yeah. Like, I think that we're too maybe afraid as businesses to believe that, like, that B2C can't act similar to B2B. Like, that happens in the B2B world. Why wouldn't we do that in the B2C world? Go find that person and engage with them. Like, it's a client relationship. Doesn't matter where it's at. And I've been blind to that as an opportunity to engage with a potential customer. If they don't want to, they won't accept it. That's fine. Keep the communication channel where they want to, but open up the opportunity,
Yeah, spray and pray. And that includes, to our point right here, social media. It could be Snapchat. I think, if you get somebody on Snapchat, though, you've earned, that's a pretty cool relationship, in my opinion.
Right.
Because you can't find people on Snapchat. You got to scan them in. But no, I got dealers that I snap every now and then. I mean, that's not my preferred. I'm usually on Messenger or LinkedIn, Instagram, whatever.
Well, I think that the whole thought here is like engage people where they want to be engaged. Totally. Utilize the tools that we have in our industry for relationship, not task management, and push the boundaries. You know, like it's amazing to me that we just kind of like we're just kind of willing to go at the regular flow. And I think everything I hear you consistently say is like, no, push the boundaries, try the next thing. Like, hey, look, it might not ever work for every customer, but why wouldn't you let them know you can do a video with them, right? Why wouldn't you give them the access to that? Like push the boundaries, you know?
Well, yeah. And look, and no CRM does like all these communications and track it all, you know, but what I do is if I, let's say, communicate with you, Kyle, and I'm hitting you on Facebook Messenger, then I'm going to put in the notes of what I got out of my Facebook Messenger conversation in my CRM. Yep. And I put it in as a call note. And I just put in there FB, link is LI. So I abbreviate. Yeah. So then I know where that communication is happening. I could go back and reference it.
That's great. That's great. Well, Steve, I'm just encouraged. I'm ready to go like try some new things after having this conversation with you. Appreciate the time with you, Steve. Always energetic and encouraging. And thanks for all that you're doing for our industry. So on behalf of the whole Auto Collabs team, thanks for joining us today.
You didn't even say anything about the hair. The hair's on point. I can't even
the hair is dialed in. Absolutely dialed in. All right,
buddy.
Imagine for just a minute that all the tech companies in auto actually use their product. How much better that product would be.
My goodness.
The fact that now I know they don't do it now, you know, because DriveCentric has kind of graduated, but the fact that the early days of DriveCentric, all their employees had to use their technology to sell and to engage with dealers. I know that's why I think they're like 6 years in. I know that's why they accelerated quickly, because when you're forced to use what you use every single day and what your customers, your end user is using, it automatically increases.
Stuff gets fixed.
It just gets fixed quickly. Yeah.
They call that eating your own cooking.
There you go.
Right? When you eat your own cooking, you understand more salt, less salt. I'm never making that again. We need to work on that. We need to improve that. Without a doubt, I mean, unfortunately, there's not really an opportunity to do that across the platforms with tech companies, et cetera. But you're right. That is an amazing point. The second you start using it in the correct application, right? Not building it, not developing, not understanding how it works, right? Because every engineer understands how it works. Yep. But not everyone understands how it feels on the other side of it working is really what it comes down to.
The point that comes to my mind too, to that effect, is that when any business wants to adopt a new piece of technology or a new software platform, whatever, that's the question that always gets missed, which is, do I have the full bandwidth to commit to this piece of software or this technology fully? Because we all know, to both of your points, if they did, how much more they would actually get from that software. But I mean, all of us have had experiences. I mean, I even have software that I'm like, man, I'm probably not using that to the fullest of its capabilities. And if I did, what would actually come from it? So super strong point. Obviously, we hope you enjoyed this conversation with Steve Roessler, like wrestler, the man with the hair. On behalf of Kyle Mountseer, Paul J. Daly, and myself, Michael Cirillo, thanks for joining us here on Auto Collabs.
Welcome to Auto Collabs. Why are we recording?